All right, let's dive into something a little different today. We're going to be tackling the world of dating and social strategies.
Oh, interesting.
We like to contrast viewpoints here.
Right.
So we've got some interesting sources, I think, to unpack.
Yeah, what have we got?
So first up, we have some excerpts from flirtuniversity.de.
Flirt University.
Flirt University, yeah, you heard right.
Wow. Okay.
It's a German website with a very structured approach to, well, flirting.
Uh-huh.
Almost like they're teaching it as a science.
Fascinating.
And then the other source that we have are excerpts from Der Gute Wingman.
Der gute Wingman. Okay.
The Good Wingman.
Got it.
And this seems to be taking like a completely different angle.
Yeah.
It's more about social dynamics and teamwork.
Okay.
So on one hand, we've got this idea of flirting as a skill you can hone and perfect.
Right.
Like learning a language or something.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it's all about using your social circle and a sort of collaborative strategy to navigate the dating scene.
Intriguing. I wonder if these seemingly opposite approaches might actually have some common threads running through them.
That's what I'm curious about. Let's start with Flirt University.
Okay.
They lay out their philosophy pretty clearly.
Okay.
And they have these 6 bullet points
Okay.
explaining why every single man should sign up for their coaching.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's hear them.
Okay, so, well, the first one is all about boosting self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
They argue that a lot of guys just freeze up
Right.
because they're afraid of rejection or they just don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
And so Flirt University focuses on helping them overcome those mental hurdles first.
That's interesting. It suggests that they're not just about teaching pickup lines or tricks. They're really addressing those deeper psychological barriers that keep people from putting themselves out there.
Exactly. And I think it speaks to, a larger shift we're seeing in the dating world,
Uh-huh.
like moving away from those old school pickup artist tactics, right? And towards something more genuine and authentic.
Absolutely. Building genuine confidence is key, whether you're approaching someone in a bar or navigating a work meeting.
Right, right. And another benefit that they highlight is their practical approach.
Yeah, okay.
They're all about taking the skills from theory to practice
I see.
with real-world exercises and scenarios.
It makes sense. It's one thing to read about social skills, but putting them into practice in real-life situations is where the real learning happens.
For sure, for sure. They also talk about individualized support,
Okay.
recognizing that, everyone comes with their own unique challenges and insecurities.
Right.
And then they're clear that they're not just about quick wins or casual hookups.
Hmm.
They want to help men build long-term relationship skills based on honesty and connection.
That's an important distinction. It seems like Flirt University is positioning itself as more than just a quick fix or a superficial confidence booster. They're aiming for something deeper, more focused on personal growth and lasting relationships.
Totally. Okay, so let's switch gears and check out this wingman approach.
Okay.
I love how the source material actually ties it back to the term's military origins,
Oh, interesting.
where a wingman is your backup in a dogfight,
Yeah.
looking out for you and helping you succeed.
Right. That analogy really gets at the core of the wingman concept, doesn't it? It suggests a strategic partnership, a shared mission to navigate the complexities of social dynamics.
Yeah, totally. It's almost like having a social strategist in your corner,
Uh-huh.
helping you make the right moves and avoid potential pitfalls.
Okay.
The source describes a wingman as someone who helps initiate conversations, smooths out introductions, keeps the energy up, and basically tackles any obstacle that might pop up.
So it's about more than just providing moral support. It's about actively participating in the social game and working together to achieve a common goal.
Totally. And here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
They get really specific about the wingman's responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a good wingman anticipates problems before they even arise. Like, if the person you're talking to seems bored or the conversation is hitting a wall,
Right.
they even mention being prepared with an emergency condom.
Wow.
Talk about commitment.
That level of preparedness certainly suggests a dedication to the mission. But it also makes me wonder about the potential downsides of this approach. Is there a risk of crossing boundaries or manipulating social situations?
That's a really good point, and I think we'll definitely want to explore those ethical considerations as we dive deeper into the wingman system.
So it's almost like we have two different philosophies here,
Yeah.
Flirt University is like, hey, you can develop these skills yourself,
Mm.
build your confidence from the inside out.
Yeah.
And then the wingman approach is more like, let's work this as a team
Right.
use strategy and social dynamics to our advantage.
I see what you mean. It's almost like a do-it-yourself versus team sport kind of mentality.
Yeah.
I wonder if those different approaches actually appeal to different personality types.
I think you're onto something there. Someone who really enjoys self-improvement and personal growth might gravitate toward that Flirt University model,
Right.
while someone who's maybe more extroverted and thrives in those social settings might prefer the wingman system.
I can see that. And maybe some people even like blend those approaches, right?
Yeah.
Like they might work on building their confidence independently, but then also call on a friend for support or a fresh perspective in certain situations.
Right, exactly. It doesn't have to be one or the other, and it's probably wise to be flexible and adapt your strategy based on the specific situation or even how you're feeling that day.
Thinking about those different situations, I'm curious, do you think like one approach might be more effective than the other, depending on what the individual's goals are?
That's a great question. Let's say someone's primary goal is to find a long-term partner. In that case, focusing on those core skills that Flirt University emphasizes, like, building genuine confidence, communicating effectively, cultivating authentic connections, that seems like a solid foundation.
Whereas if someone is more focused on just like expanding their social circle,
Right.
getting more comfortable interacting with new people, maybe the wingman approach would help them ease into those situations and have some fun along the way.
I think that makes sense. It's about aligning your strategy with your desired outcome. But I do think that both approaches ultimately acknowledge that social interaction is a skill. It's something you can learn and improve upon, whether you're doing it solo or with a wingman by your side.
And let's not forget, we've been mainly talking about men so far,
Mm.
but I'm sure these concepts apply to women as well.
Absolutely. While societal expectations and gender roles can certainly play a part, at the core of it, the desire for connection and the need for confidence in social situations are universal. Women can benefit just as much from those Flirt University principles, building self-assurance, mastering communication skills. Those are valuable tools for anyone, regardless of gender.
Right. And the wing woman concept is definitely a thing too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Having a trusted friend to navigate those social landscapes with.
Yeah.
Someone who could offer encouragement, a different perspective, and maybe even an extra layer of safety in certain situations. That's valuable for anyone.
Couldn't agree more. Really highlights how crucial it is to have a strong support system, regardless of gender, when you're navigating the often complicated world of social interactions.
Now, the source material on this wingman method gets really into the specifics of how this system works.
Okay.
And they stress the importance of having clear communication and predefined rules when you're teaming up with a wingman. Like, what are the signals you'll use?
Yeah.
What boundaries need to be in place?
Which makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
You're essentially going into a social situation with a shared strategy, so you need to be on the same page to be effective.
Right. And there's this whole concept of the wing woman as well, which they break down in detail.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about having a female friend tag along. She actually plays a strategic role in facilitating introductions and get this potentially even sparking a little jealousy to make the man seem more desirable.
A little social engineering at play.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how those dynamics can be used to create a certain perception and influence those social interactions.
Totally.
Mm.
But they also emphasize that, it's not all about manipulation and games.
Mm.
They're very clear about the importance of loyalty and respect within these dynamics,
Right.
even using phrases like bros before hosts and pearls before dudes to drive that point home.
Which essentially means your loyalty to your wingman or wingwoman should always come first, even if a romantic opportunity arises during the interaction. It's about maintaining that trust and prioritizing the partnership.
Totally. They even give an example of how a wingman can subtly introduce their friend in a way that positions him as the more valuable person in the interaction. Like instead of just saying, hey, meet my friend, they might say something like, you guys have got to hear this story about my friend's crazy trip to insert exciting location here.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting how a simple shift in phrasing can create that intrigue and position someone as more interesting right from the start.
It's all about setting the stage, right?
Yeah.
Creating that initial spark of interest and making someone want to learn more.
It speaks to the level of thought and strategy that can go into these interactions. But it also makes me wonder, is there a point where this kind of social maneuvering crosses a line and becomes manipulative?
That's a great question. And it's something we need to be mindful of when we're talking about these kinds of tactics. Because while having a plan and being strategic can be helpful, it's also important to maintain authenticity and respect for everyone involved.
Absolutely. There's a fine line between being a savvy social strategist and being someone who's trying to, control or manipulate others.
hmm So as we're thinking about all these different approaches to social interaction,
Hmm.
I'm wondering, what about the listener out there?
Yeah.
What resonates with you?
Right.
Do you lean more toward the structured self-improvement of Flirt University or the collaborative energy of the Wingman system?
Or maybe you see value in both and you're already thinking about how you could blend those approaches in your own life. It's
Yeah.
all about finding what works best for you and your personal goals.
So we've got this idea of a spectrum, right?
Right.
But maybe it's not a straight line. What if it's more like, like a choose your own adventure kind of deal?
I like where you're going with this because even within these two approaches, like, the Flirt University model and
Yeah.
the Wingman system, there's so many like variations and nuances, right?
Totally. Like even within Flirt University, some people might be drawn to, their online courses,
Right.
while others prefer in-person workshops or one-on-one coaching.
Hmm.
And with the Wingman system, you could have a casual, let's just go out and see what happens approach, or you could be like really strategic about it with predefined signals and roles.
It all comes back to, what we were saying earlier about aligning your strategy with your goals and your personality. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's about finding what feels most authentic and effective for you.
And I think this is where it gets really interesting for our listener.
Yeah.
Because as we've been, exploring these different approaches,
Hmm.
we've also been uncovering these underlying principles that apply to social interaction, like in general,
Right.
not just dating.
Right, like the
Right.
importance of self-awareness, active listening, and being able to read those social cues. Those are valuable skills, whether you're trying to spark a romantic connection or just navigate a networking event.
Right, right. And thinking about our listener, they might be hearing all this and thinking, okay, but where do I even start?
Well, I think a good starting point is to simply become more aware of your own natural tendencies and preferences.
Okay.
Do you tend to be more introverted or extroverted?
Yeah.
Do you prefer to plan things out or go with the flow?
Right.
Once you have a better understanding of your own social style, you can start to experiment with different approaches and see what feels most comfortable and effective.
Yeah, I love that. It's like a self-discovery journey within the realm of social interaction.
Mm.
And maybe as you're experimenting, you realize, oh, I don't fit neatly into any one category.
Right.
Maybe you're a blend of Flirt University confidence and Wingman camaraderie.
And that's perfectly fine. In fact, I think that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
When you take those different tools and strategies and create your own unique approach.
I agree. It's like we're all, social alchemists,
Yeah.
mixing and matching these different elements to create our own personal formula for success.
I like that analogy. And I think it's important to remember that this is an ongoing process,
Mhm.
Our social skills and strategies are always evolving just like we are as people.
Yeah, that's a good point. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a few final thoughts to chew on.
Okay.
First, remember that social interaction is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned and improved with practice. So don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and try new things.
Second, remember that there's no shame in seeking support. Whether it's a formal program like Flirt University, a trusted wingman, or just a friend who's a good listener, having a support system can make all the difference.
And finally, remember to be kind to yourself. Social interaction can be tricky and everyone makes mistakes.
Right.
The important thing is to learn from those experiences and keep moving forward.
Well said. So go out there, experiment, connect, and never stop exploring that